Ukrainian President Zelensky claims that nearly 6,000 Russian soldiers have been killed since the start of the invasion. During a televised address on Wednesday, he said the number of dead does not include potential deaths on Tuesday evening and encouraged Ukrainians to keep fighting. The Kremlin has not publicly confirmed a death toll. Joining us now is Chris Miller. He's an assistant professor of international history at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy at Tufts University. He recently wrote an article for the New York Times entitled, "Why is Putin at War Again? Because he keeps winning." Chris is also the author of the 2018 book, Putinomics. Chris, welcome to CBS News. In your New York Times opinion piece, you analyze Putin's military successes over the years. Can you walk us through some of these victories and how they seem to predict Russia's invasion of Ukraine?
Well, before this war, Putin has waged a series of other conflicts over the past 2 decades in which he's been in power. He invaded Georgia on Russia's southern border in 2008. He previously invaded Ukraine in 2014 and 2015, and then he's waged war in Syria as well over the past 7 years. And from Russia's perspective, each of these conflicts was an impressive military victory. Russia was able to, at very low cost to itself, achieve substantial portions of its political aims. And as a result, Russia's leaders were highly confident in their ability to use force in their foreign policy before they invaded Ukraine this time.
So this was very reinforcing behavior. You write the threat Russia poses is, quote, not hybrid warfare, but hard power, and suggest that the U.S. is losing its military advantage. If this is so, how do you believe the U.S. can regain it during this conflict?
Well, there's no doubt that Russia has spent the last 15 years rebuilding its military. We've seen, by any data point you look at, plenty of evidence that Russia is fielding new types of missile systems. It's exercising its military more frequently. It's modernizing its armed forces. And we've watched this happen as our own military position in Europe has deteriorated. And this has given the Russians a sense that they've got a freer hand to operate than they otherwise would. And it's emboldened Russia to take military action against Ukraine. So I think as we look forward and ask, how do we reestablish security in Europe? Part of the answer has got to be reinforcing our own forces that are currently in Europe, but also making sure they've got the technological edge over Russia and any other rival that they might potentially face in the future.
Okay, let's talk about something described as Putinomics. Your 2018 book explores the economic policies that shaped Vladimir Putin's years in power. But in the article, you emphasize, quote, economies don't fight wars, militaries do. So do you believe a Russian economy crippled by sanctions won't necessarily impact his invasion of Ukraine?
What we've seen in the past is that Russia's government has been very effective in shifting the cost of economic crisis onto civilians and trying to protect its government budget and its military spending. That's what it did after Russia's last economic crisis in 2014. And that's the strategy it's trying to implement this time as the Russian currency sinks and the stock market sells off. But I think the U.S. still has tools it can use to reduce the amount of resources that are available to Russia's military. And in particular, trying to reduce Russia's ability to sell oil, gas, and coal abroad would be an important step in really bringing the cost of this crisis home, not simply to the Russian economy writ large, but to the government and the military in particular. And I think that's where discussion in Washington and in European capitals is now turning. How do you restrict Russia's ability to export energy commodities?
That's a step where both the U.S. and our allies are very vulnerable. Chris Miller, thank you for your expertise.
Thank you.